another brand new episode, webinar number 670, sponsored by Institute of Global Professionals. Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our Institution of Global Professionals International webinar. And this is another opportunity to learn here. So thank you so much for joining with us in this live session. And please stay with us till the end of our program. So once again, I'm your host for tonight. Myself, Nasrin Nisha, you have already know me, and I'm from Bangladesh. So thank you so much again for joining with us in this marvelous moment. My dear lovely audience, really I'm proud to be associated with IGP as a global member. And I feel respected, privileged to host this webinar. It's my delight to welcome you all to our Institution of Global Professionals International Free Webinar. So thank you so much, everyone. So please start sharing this live session in your newsfeed, Facebook groups, and all the social media you are using, like Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn. So, dear participants, dear teachers, dear learners, let's start our program and let's learn and grow together because we believe that power is gained by sharing knowledge, not holding it. Yes. So already our participants joined with us from different time zones and nations. So let's read some comment first from our comment box and then we will start our program. Okay, so already Sir Alex Alvarez joined with us from YouTube. Good evening, sir. We have Ma'am Manolita. Good evening, ma'am. We have Ma'am Geraldine, Ma'am Evelyn Pivipiri, Ma'am Saila, May Villanova. Good evening, ma'am. Yes, also a virtual hug for you too. Okay, thank you, Sir Paulo Liberin, for joining us. We have Sir Joel Berna, sir. Good evening, sir. Yes, thank you so much for enjoying the promotional video. Okay, so we have Ma'am Jeannie Lynn Wheeler, Ma'am Jasmine. Good evening, Ma'am Azzy Almirez. Thank you, ma'am, for joining with us. We have Ma'am Gemma Ma'am Gemma Rivera. Okay. Thank you, sir. Sir Danny Sirso. And I would like to thanks to our volunteer team members for cooperating with our participants. Thank you so much. Okay, we have Sir Durley. We have Sir Alex. I'm so tired of this technical problem. It's okay, I'm come back again. So thank you so much everyone for joining with us. Thank you, Sir Paulo. Okay. So we have so many participants from different time zones and nation. Thank you so much for joining with us, and don't stop sharing this live session. Invite your friends in our this live session. You can also mention and tag your friends in our comment box. Okay, so dear participants, if you want to feed your skills, you have to be with IGP. You have to be with us in this journey. So you can also comment with hashtag feed your skills, hashtag IGP. So I'm going to share a little concept about IGP right now because we have tonight two speakers. So we have short time. Okay. So you have already know that IGP is a non-profit international training institute, educational training institute, and IGP believe that it's not effective to increase one's skills just by acquiring formal education. So we provide effective training and consultation to generate proficient generation all over the world. We organized our webinar, online, offline courses, etc. by best and trained speakers from all over the globe to create a best learning platform for all of you. And yes, our mission is empower people, our youth, and hence, yes. So IGP already launched a new website that is job logins. So you can also visit our new website. I think you'll be benefited from that site because you can find all the job related information there. Also, we have a new page that is IGP Kids. So don't forget to give a thumbs up to our IGP Kids page and our official IGP page. And don't forget to subscribe our channel also. Okay, I will not learn my conversation. Okay, okay. All right, so dear participants, let's start our program with IGP's mantra or slogan that is feed your skills. So you have to be with us till the end of our program because we will share the international webinar code. All right, so let's welcome our first speaker from Philippines, a beautiful country, and we have a beautiful speaker. Yes. Welcome our first speaker, Ma'am Trisha May T. Nakapali. Am I right?
Hello, ma'am. Thank you so much, Ma'am Nisha.
Thank you so much, ma'am, and great to see you, ma'am.
It is so nice to see you also.
Thank you, ma'am. So, ma'am, you can start your presentation, and the platform is all yours now.
Thank you so much.
Yes, it's visible.
Okay.
Okay.
Mabuhay, Institute of Global Professionals, and to everyone who's watching right now. Before I start my discussion, as we all know, classroom teaching practices must be planned smartly. Am I right? Many teaching strategies work for any classroom, no matter what the age of the students or the subject. When a teacher implements a combination of effective teaching strategies, their students have more opportunities to perform better in class. Today, I will be discussing the art of questioning. But before that, let me introduce myself. I'm Trisha May T. Macabali from Philippines, a college graduate with MAED units and a teacher one of Kamuning Elementary School, Mexico North District, Division of Pampanga. So, are you ready? Let's start. All teaching and learning lies in the art of questioning. Questioning, which is the basis of teaching task, encourages recalling, deepens the learning process and comprehension, promotes the imagination and problem solving. It satisfies the sense of curiosity. And also, it helps increase the creativity in a learning environment. Questioning is also a critical indicator of teachers' effectiveness. So, what do we need? Why do we need to ask questions? What do you think? So, we are asking questions to check for understanding. to have students recall something, to encourage students to articulate their ideas and thoughts, which is true, right? And also to encourage a more in depth understanding. And of course, there's more to help students commit information to a long term memory, to check progress, skills, and abilities in order to make teaching and learning adjustments, which is formative assessment, to assess a student for grading purposes, which is the summative assessment, to monitor students' health and well being, and lastly, to elicit first personal information and build rapport. So, asking good questions is central to learning and sometimes can be more important than getting the answer. Why? Well, particularly when the questions encourages a student to think critically. Because as we all know, skill is the art of questioning lies at the basis of all good teaching. So, equally important is helping students use self questioning to monitor their learning. Yes, self questioning so that we can monitor their learning. This fact sheet um, focuses on both teacher questioning and student self questioning. So, about questioning, questioning as an instructional tool can be traced back to the 4th century when Socrates used questions and answers to challenge assumptions, expose contradictions, and lead to new knowledge and wisdom. So, used in this way, questioning can be an undeniably powerful teaching approach. That's true, questioning. But by his comment at his trial for hearsay, an unexamined life is not worth living. So Socrates made it clear that he also understood the importance of self examination or self or questioning oneself. The art of teaching relies heavily on effective questioning techniques. Questions have the potential to change classrooms and strengthens student achievement. So, through our questions, our students became thinkers, right? They became thinkers. And they learned the important traits of perseverance, risk taking, creativity, and of course, flexibility. So, why do we need to know the questioning techniques? For what? What do you think? So, we have four. The first one is interaction. Of course, as we all know, we need to interact to our student, right? Because the most common form of interaction it is between the teacher and the student. Second, to challenge. It provides motivation by encouraging students to actively participate in the learning. Third, progress. It is asking questions helps the teacher to promote the level of understanding of the students. And the last one is assessment. The teacher can assess the effectiveness of her teaching by these questioning techniques. So let's move on to the levels and types of questionings. So what do you think are there? Questioning should be used to achieve well-defined goals. So Bloom's taxonomy is a hierarchical system for ordering thinking skills from lower to higher, where each level requires a student's mastery of the skills below it. The taxonomy is introduced as a tool which is helpful for defining the kind of thinking skills instructor expect from the students. And of course, for helping to establish congruence between the instructor's goals and the questions he or she asks. So, questions are typically classified by the level of cognitive demand required to answer them. The best known system for categorizing the cognitive level of questions is Bloom's taxonomy, in which six levels of cognitive demand move from the lowest order processes to the highest. So, remember, understand, apply. Lower order questions ask students to recall and comprehend material that was previously read or taught by the teacher. Analyze, evaluate, and create our higher order questions asks students to use information previously learned to create or support an answer with logically reasoned evidence. Both higher and lower order questions are useful and have their place in the teaching learning process, but they serve different purposes. So, a recent revision of Bloom's taxonomy expresses the levels as verbs instead of nouns. Both the 1956 and the revised 2001 taxonomies are shown in the figure, as you can see here. A meta-analysis of these studies of instructional methods. Well, here it found a positive relationship between the predominant use of higher level questions during instruction and student gains on tests of both factual recall and application of thinking skills. So we have remembering, recalling information, understanding, explaining ideas or concepts, applying, using information in another familiar situation, and analyzing, evaluating, creating are higher order thinking. In analyzing, breaking information into parts to explore understandings and relationships. In evaluating, justifying a decision or course of action. And in creating, generating new ideas, products, or ways of viewing things. So, higher level involve the ability to analyze, evaluate, or create, and are most appropriate for encouraging students to think more deeply and critically. Problem solving, of course, encouraging discussions, and stimulating students to seek information on their own. So, when teachers ask higher order questions and gives students opportunities to develop deep explanations, learning is enhanced across content areas. Higher order questions often start with question stems such as why, what caused, how did it occur, what if, how does it compare, or what is the evidence. So when teacher ask higher order questions and encourage explanations, they help their students develop important critical thinking skills. By modeling good questioning and encouraging students to ask questions of themselves, teachers can help students learn independently and improve their learnings. So, in addition to that, asking questions at various level of the taxonomy, an instructor might consider whether he is asking closed or open questions. So here we have a closed question. It is one for which there are a limited number of acceptable answers, most of which will usually be anticipated by the instructor. So, for example, what is the definition of an adjective? So here, you will give or share the definition of an adjective, but in a limited number of acceptable answers only. And while an open question is one for which there are many acceptable answers, most of which will not be anticipated by the instructor. So, for example, what is an example of an adjective? So, here, there's a lot of answers that you can give to your teacher. Well, many acceptable answers. So, did you get it? Is that clear to you? The open and closed questions? Well, I guess yes. So, let's move on to the types of questions. First, we have factual questions. From its root word fact, it means truth, certain, reality. It is the lowest level of cognitive, straightforward answers. It is frequently either right or wrong and often tests rote memory. So, for example, what is the title of the story? Which are the materials that conduct electricity? And what time did you expose the plant into direct sunlight? So you need to answer it straightforward, direct to the point. Did you get it? Next, we have clarifying questions. So, in clarifying questions, it intends to provide clarity to both students and teachers. It also helps to visit the students' earlier statements. So, um, you mentioned possible thyroid problem contributing to Anna's symptoms. So the question will be, what do you mean by thyroid problems? And can you give us an example of it? So that's its clarifying questions. You need to provide clarity. Okay? Next is broadening or extension questions. It enlarges the existing theme, explore implications of the response, and can be useful in opening up further possibilities. And also, such questions can be used to assess addition knowledge of the students. So, for example, do you know any other abnormality in Down syndrome? So, in that question, you need to enlarge the existing theme. You need to explore implications of the response, right? Okay. Justifying questions. It explores reasons. It requires significant comprehension and reasoning skills on the part of the students. So, for example, What are the reasons for such a diagnosis? How did you compute for the mean, median, and mode? So that will be the justifying question. You need to justify it. You need to explore reason. Next is hypothetical questions. A hypothetical question is based on supposition. Again, supposition, opinion, personal belief, or conjecture, and not facts. Again, not facts. For example, if you were a transformer, what vehicle would you turn into? Another. What laws would you abolish if you could? What laws would you create? Oh, do you get it? Another, if extra lives were a thing in the real world, how would you get them? And if you were a food, what food you would be? And last example, what animal would be a way better if it was covered in scales? So, uh is it clear to you that they are just hypothetical questions, an opinion, personal beliefs, and they are not facts? Okay. Oh, another meaning of hypothetical questions. A hypothetical example is a fictional example that can be used when a speaker is explaining a complicated topic that makes the most sense when it is put into more realistic or relatable terms. Next, redirecting questions. It is addressing the same questions with the other students. So, when a student responds to a question, the instructor can ask another student to comment on his statement. One purpose of using this technique is to enable more students to participate. It is more on participating and cooperating to one another. Next, questioning cycle. So, of course, first, you need to ask the question and period of silence. Let them think. Next, simplify the question and another period of silence. And lastly, discuss the answer so that it will be more informative to one another. So, let's move on to questioning technique. First, you need to provide sufficient waiting time. So, here we have things to consider. What are those? First, the level of difficulty. And the second, the intellectual ability of the respondents. Another is, of course, you need to know your style of questioning. You need to consider the individual ability of the students and ask some open-ended or divergent questions, not just yes or no questions. So here, divergent questions. Let the respondents to think in different directions. Think of alternative actions. Arrive at own decision to arrive at several possible answers and giving own opinion. So Sometimes there are statements like, tell me about, give me an example of. So I will give you an example here. How could this be done differently? So you're thinking there in a different direction. So another question, another example. What are the possibilities? So you need to arrive at the several possible answers. And another, what different strategies could be used to solve this problem? And last, what predictions you might make about the future of this? So that is the divergent questions. So here, convergent or closed questions. They give you facts. It is very easy to answer. Well, convergent questions typically start with who, what, where, or when. Convergent thinking is the type of thinking that focuses on coming up with a single, well established answer to a problem. It is oriented toward deriving the single best or most often correct answer to a question. So, here are the other questioning techniques. The default. What do you do in this questioning techniques? First, ask a question. Then, pause. Wait just for a few minutes. And then call on a student. So you need to master this technique and use it as your standard, the default. Next, the volunteer. Again, you need to ask a question, pause, and wait for a raised hand. So you need to use this for conceptually challenging questions. Next is the jump ball. Ask a question, pause, and anybody can answer. Use this for conceptually challenging questions and when you need a fast answer. So when you need a fast answer, well, anybody can do it. Next, the choir. Ask a question, pause for a minute, and everybody can answer. Use this for simple but important points that everyone should know. So when a student asks a question, you need to clarify it, especially if it is necessary. And whenever possible, help the student answer the question itself. Ask other students answer the question. Another, you need to defer until later if possible. Answer it yourself only as a last resort. But never let the student's question go unanswered. You need to answer it. Okay? So, when you are dealing with wrong answers, of course, we experience that dealing with wrong answers from our students or pupils. Let's just say, let's just ask them, is the question clear? Because if the question is not clear to them, we need to explain it more farther. And then try to rephrase the question. Let's rephrase it in a simple and understandable question so that they can answer it easily. And let's ask them if the question too much difficult for them. So, before I end my discussion, I have a quote here. My teacher gave me the best gift of all. And what is that? Believing in me. And that ends my discussion regarding the art of questioning. Thank you for listening and God bless us all. Again, this is your discussant, Trisha May T. Makabali from Philippines. Thank you.
Thank you so much, ma'am, for sharing your knowledge through your presentation. So we will invite you in our Q&A session. Till then, you have to be with us. Thank you so much, Ma'am Trisha.
Thank you, Ma'am Nisha.
Okay, so dear participants, dear knowledge seeker, let's welcome our second speaker from Philippines, Ma'am Marian S. Miranda. Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. Can you hear me? All right. I think she is okay. She is disconnected. So we will wait for her. Okay, ma'am Trisha. I think ma'am Marian is disconnected. So if she joined, we will invite her. Okay, so dear participants, don't stop mentioning your friends and sharing the live session in your newsfeed. So after our speaker's presentation, we will start our quiz competition. So you have to be with us to enjoy, to participate in our live quiz competition. Okay, so here is she. Welcome, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am. Sorry for the.
It's okay, ma'am.
Okay. Am I visible, ma'am?
Yes, you are visible
Yes.
and also your
Okay.
presentation.
Yes. Can I
Okay, ma'am.
start?
So yes, ma'am. Sure, you can start. Okay.
Okay. Okay. Good evening, Philippines. Good morning and good afternoon to each and everyone who are watching from different countries. Okay. Thank you, IGP, for this opportunity to be the one of your resource speaker. By the way, I'm Marion Esmeralda, a grade 2 teacher at Kamuning Elementary School, Division of Pampanga, Philippines. My topic is all about effective learning environment and learners with exceptionalities. To give you the learning objectives for this discussion, we have first, define learning environment, and effective learning environment. Discuss the components and characteristics of effective learning environment. Share tips on how to promote effective learning environment. So these learning objectives are for effective learning environment. Next set learning objectives, we have learning objectives for learners with exceptionalities. The first thing we have to do is define exceptionality of learners. Identify and describe the learners with exceptionalities. Discuss the categories of learners with exceptionalities. Enumerate the things to remember about learners with exceptionalities. And the last one, identify ways on how to have learners with special needs. Now, let's define first what is learning. Learning is a continuous process, right? Okay, a process that leads to change, which occurs as a result of experience and increases the potential of improved performance and future learning. Also, learning is the act of acquiring new or modifying and reinforcing existing knowledge, behaviors, skills, values, or preferences, and may involve synthesizing different types of information. So, learning is by far the only entity that remains constant in our rapidly changing world. Time is compressed, meaning that we have a very little time to keep abreast with change. However, one has to learn to adopt and be part of change. Because the only way this can be achieved is to learn how to survive, or how to learn with the ever increasing demands of life. Next term that we are going to define is learning environment. Learning environment is the place where teaching and learning take place in the most effective and productive manner. It consists of the classroom and all the instructional features and non-threatening classroom climate needed in planning and implementing all teaching and learning activities. Also, a learning environment involves people who are willing to improve themselves through continuous education and training. In the context of education, learning environment is one of the most important factors for effective learning to happen within the classroom setting. Next, what is effective learning environment? The Department of Education, in its unified new mission, emphasizes its desired end, and that is to protect and promote the right of every learners to quality, equitable, culture-based, and complete basic education, where students learn in a child-friendly, gender-sensitive, safe, and motivating environment. Teachers facilitate learning and constantly nurture every learner. Administrators and staff, as stewards of the institution, ensure an enabling and supportive environment for effective learning to happen. Family, community, and other stakeholders are actively engaged and share responsibility for developing lifelong learners. So, in this mission statement of Department of Education, it spells out the importance of the learning environment as well as the roles of teachers, administrators, and stakeholders. So these are the three components of effective learning environment. We have the teachers, administrators, and stakeholders. So let's discuss about teachers. Teachers are the facilitators of learning and the ones who are responsible for maintaining a safe classroom environment that allows students to be available to learn. So, since teachers are the ones who facilitate learning, they should prepare themselves and connect to the world to keep updated with the different styles, technologies, methodologies, and strategies that will help them to provide an efficient learning delivery to its learners. As educators, we are charged with the responsibility of maintaining a safe classroom environment that allows students to be available to learn. So another important responsibility of the teacher is to develop a learning environment where students feel motivated to learn within the boundaries and expectations of a safe classroom by modeling and encouraging of safe environment and purposeful roles. So students feel motivated to do the right thing and help one another. It is important for teachers to put an emphasis on intrinsic motivation in the classroom to keep students interested and invested in their own learning goals. In addition, extrinsic motivators support students' intrinsic drive by assisting them in understanding the demands of the classroom. These kind of motivators include praise, positive reinforcement, and rewards for exceptional behaviors. So next component are the administrators. So administrators ensure that every learning center has enabling and supportive environment and ensure the availability of the learning provisions, including the learner's welfare. So administrators' roles are vital, for they are the ones who ensure that every learning center has enabling and supportive environment that ensures the availability of the learning provisions, including learners' welfare. And the last component are the stakeholders. Stakeholders serve as partners who share the responsibility along with the government as facilitator for ensuring the development of lifelong learning. Their participation is very important since they serve as partners who share the responsibility along with the government as facilitators for ensuring the development of lifelong learning. An example of this is this time of pandemic. The family and the community are actively engaged in the distance learning of students, such as, or where in the community, the barangay officials and the families or the parents or the guardians are the ones who get and distribute the modules to the students since students cannot able to go outside to their community. So working hand in hand of these three components in learning environments will result to a creation of wholesome and effective learning environment that will push the creation of a positive learning environment, considering that our students deserves a better education. Next, we have 10 characteristics of highly effective learning environment. Okay, number 1, the students ask more questions than the teacher. Questioning is the art of learning. If the students keep on asking questions, it means they are attentive and interested in the lesson. So they have the eagerness to learn. Number 2, questions are valued over answers. So it makes sense that if good questions should lead the learning, there would be valued place on these questions. And that means adding currency whenever possible, grades by asking questions as assessment, credit, give them points. Children love points. Or simply praise and honest respect. Number 3, ideas come from divergent sources. Ideas for lessons, reading, tests, and projects. The fiber of formal learning should come from a variety of sources. It is very important that the ideas coming from the sources are acknowledged. You can also invite families and community members to speak in your classroom. Number 4, a variety of learning models are used. The acronym VARK or VARK explains the learning models itself. It stands for V, visual, A, auditory, R for reading or writing, K for kinesthetic learning styles. This model states that every learner experiences learning through any one of these processes. Number 5, classroom learning empties into a connected community. It helps to connect the content from your lessons to the real world of your students. Okay, number 6, learning is a personalized via a variety of criteria. The teacher must create a rubric or criterion for a specific activity or task. Number 7, assessment is persistent, authentic, transparent, and never punitive. So communicate with students about why they are being tested, what's in it for them, and what they can do to improve. The assessment of students must be authentic and transparent, and that is very important. Number eight, criteria for success is diverse, transparent, and co created with students and families. Of course, it is important that the criteria should be open or transparent to the students and to their families so that they can able to understand their goals and the result of their performance based from the criteria or criterion of the test or the performance test. Number 9, learning habits are constantly modeled. Cognitive, metacognitive, and behavioral good stuff is constantly modeled. Curiosity, persistent, persistence, flexibility, priority, creativity, collaboration, revision, and even the classic habits of mind, or creating or imagining, are all great places to start. So often, what students learn from those around them is less directly didactic and more indirect and observational. And the last one, there are constant opportunities for practice and growth. Provide your students with an environment where they feel safe and confident to take risks, where mistakes are used as opportunities for growth and learning. So, those are the 10 characteristics of a highly effective learning environment. Now, in order to achieve a highly effective learning environment, we have also 10 tips for effective learning environment. Number one, number one tip, build community. Build community is about creating a space in which students and teachers are committed to a shared learning goal and achieve learning through frequent collaboration and social interaction. With intentional planning and deliberate pedagogical choices, cultivating and reinforcing positive interactions among classroom participants becomes an essential component of building a classroom community. And number two, design a safe, friendly, and well managed classroom environment. A safe classroom environment is one where learners feel physically, emotionally, and social comfortable. They know that their needs are taken care of and that they are protected by caring and thoughtful teachers and members of their community. Children learn best when they feel safe. In fact, an unsafe classroom environment is not all that conducive to learning. So that's one of the tips in order to make the students feel valued. Number three, include students in creating rules, norms, routines, and consequences. Rules are different from routines and norms. Rules comes from consequences, whereas routines and norms have reminders. Once you make a rule, you have to stick with it. The student will expect a warning, a second warning, and then a consequence. A rule cannot be treated like a routine ever. If being on time is a classroom rule, for example, when a student walks in 22 seconds late, we can say, I reminded you yesterday about being tardy. We have to say, this is a warning and a consequence will follow. And then, a consequence has to follow if they walk in 2 seconds late 2 days later. All the other students are watching and expecting the follow through. If we just sigh, shake our head, and let it slide, the students will not see being on time as a rule. We need to be selective when choosing that small handful of rules because those will need to be enforced. Number four, create a variety of communications or create a variety of communication channels. Having varied and reliable options for students to talk with you will help you keep your class running smoothly. Encourage students to connect with you online. Provide them with your school email account so they can send you their questions, concerns, and suggestions. Or use social media tools to connect with students who are old enough to have Facebook accounts. We teachers should offer a variety of times when we are available. This will make a certain that all students are able to come and sit down with you privately for a chat if needed. So, students grow emotionally and socially as they share their intellectual thoughts and ideas with one another. As teachers, we must explicitly integrate as much as time for this as possible, so we should give time to communicate with our students. It is very important in the relationship of a student and the teacher. Number five, always be calm, fair, and consistent. Trust is the beating healthy heart of a functioning classroom. Without it, classroom management is nearly impossible, as is building relationship with students. A calm, fair, and consistent teacher is a trusted one. Always keep a calm even if your head and heart are telling you to act differently. Use those acting skills which we all acquire as a teacher. And when you feel that your blood is boiling, remember that students do not trust reactive teachers, and often they don't respect them. So fear should never be the great motivator in our classroom. So please, teachers, don't shout. We should learn how to handle our emotions. It is very important that teachers know how to handle their emotions or how to control their emotions. Number six, know the students you teach. A teacher must know about his or her students. That's the first trait of leadership. Ask yourself this question: how well do I know myself? Thinking about this question help you to better know us and understand your students. By looking at your own background, such as the economics, culture, education, and gender, you will able to acknowledge the lens through which you view your students. For example, if you grew up in the middle class, but the students whose families live mainly below the poverty line, you can take to learn about their specific challenges in order also for you as a teacher to understand their backgrounds and situations. The more we understand our students, the more we can create a good relationship with them. Number seven, address conflict quickly and address conflict quickly and wisely. Handling classroom conflicts is a part of most teachers' lives. Don't let conflict worsen. That means you should be sure to address an issue between you and a student or between two students as quickly as possible. Now, for handling those conflicts wisely, you and the student should step away from the other students, just in the doorway of the classroom perhaps. Ask them questions such as, how may I help you? Don't accuse the child of anything. Act as if you do care, even if you have the opposite feeling at the moment. The student will usually become disarmed because he or she expecting you to be angry. So you should always take a positive approach. When students have conflicts with each other, remain neutral. Use neutral language as you act as a mediator to help them resolve the problem peacefully. And number eight, integrate positive classroom rituals. A teacher can arrange morning meetings during which each individual in the group is acknowledged. It creates a feeling of we are all in this together. Ask a few volunteers to share something good that has happened to them, like getting a high score in a test or having a new baby in the family, for instance. And this student can also share an upcoming event that is positive, such as a birthday or a trip. And we can ask students one word that describes how they are feeling today. Start with volunteer and then whip around the room. As a teacher, it is also important that before we start the class, we should know first the feeling of our students because this may feel them that they are being valued or we care for them. Number 9, keep it real. Using real world examples and tackling real world problems in the classroom can make learning more meaningful to students. And it can help spark excitement in gaining knowledge about important issues. We can also contextualize or localize our instruction or our activities. Number 10, partner with parents and guardians. This is the last tip for a reason. Why? Because the teachers know that partnering with parents is neither easy nor completely in our control. Returning a teacher's call may not be the top priority of a parent or a guardian. They may be more concerned with paying bills, putting food on the table, and so much more beyond our imaginations. Yet, connecting home and school is worth the extra effort because of the benefits for the students. And I do believe that effective learning takes place only when teacher, parents, and students are at one page or with same goal, such as the betterment of a student. So, we are now done with the topic effective learning environment. Let's move now to the topic learners with exceptionalities. The Recognizing Excellence in Learning and Teaching project, known as Relate, funded by William T. Grant Foundation, has taken in-depth looking at the most volatile of classrooms, those primarily serving students with emotional and behavioral disorders, which will be tackled in this part of the discussion. With the kind of students we are serving, we teachers should possess an expertise in handling these cases. That's why it is very important for us to know what is exceptionality, who are the learners with exceptionalities, what are the categories of learners with exceptionalities, what to remember about learners with exceptionalities or about learners with special needs, and how will we help learners with special needs. Now, let's have first who are the learners with exceptionalities or what is exceptionality. The term learners with exceptionalities refers to individuals whose physical, behavioral, or cognitive performance is so different from the norm that additional services are required to meet the individual needs. And the term exceptional refers to the students who learn and develop differently from most others or students who have exceptional learning styles, exceptional talents, or exceptional behaviors. Exceptional students are those who fall outside the normal range of development. So this includes the students who are abnormal and students who are below normal. The World Health Organization proposed three terms for exceptionality. The words impairment, disability, and handicap are often used interchangeably. They have different meanings, however. The differences in meaning are important for understanding the learners with exceptionalities. So the first term is impairment. Impairment is any loss or abnormality of psychological, physiological, or anatomical structure or function. While disability is any restriction or lack resulting from an impairment of ability to perform an activity in the manner or within the range considered normal for a human being. However, handicap is a disadvantage for a given individual that limits or prevents the fulfillment of a role that is normal. As traditionally used, impairment refers to a problem with structure or organ of the body. Disability is a functional limitation with regard to a particular activity. And handicap refers to a disadvantage in filling a role in life relative to a peer group. Now, in order for us to understand the differences among impairment, disability, and handicap, let us consider this sample situation. Okay. Joseph is a 7-year-old who has a form of cerebral palsy or CP called spastic diplegia. Joseph's cerebral palsy causes his legs to be stiff, tight, and difficult to move. He cannot stand or walk. So we are now going to illustrate the impairment, disability, and handicap in this situation. So the impairment, the inability to move the legs easily at the joints and inability to bear weight on the feet is the impairment of Joseph. While disability, Joseph's inability to walk is a disability. His level of disability can be improved with physical therapy and special equipment. For example, if he learns to use a walker with braces, his level of disability will improve considerably. Again, disability is the Joseph inability to walk, while impairment is the inability to move the legs. It talks about the physical or the structure of the body, while disability talks about the restriction or lack of the ability to perform an activity. And handicap, Joseph's cerebral palsy is handicapping to the extent that it prevent him from fulfilling a normal role at school, home, and in the community. So again, impairment is a problem with structure or organ of the body, while disability is a functional limitation with regard to a particular activity, and handicap refers to the disadvantage in filling a role in relative to a peer group. So now let's have the categories of exceptionalities according to the educational psychology book of Omrod. According to Omrod, there are 5 categories of exceptionalities, which are cognitive or academic difficulties, social or emotional and behavioral difficulties, physical disabilities and health impairments, sensory impairments, and giftedness. Now let's have it one by one. Let's have first cognitive or academic difficulties. Number 1, learning disabilities. Perception, language, memory, or metacognition, such as dyslexia. So dyslexia, people with dyslexia typically have trouble reading fluently. They often read slowly and make mistakes that can impact how well they comprehend what they read. But when other people read to them, they often have no problem understanding the text. Also, dyslexia can create a difficulty with other skills too. These include reading comprehension, spelling, writing, and math. Next, dysgraphia is a writing disorder. Um, it is a neurological disorder of written expression that impairs writing ability and fine motor skills. It is a learning disability that affects children and adults and interferes with practically all aspects of the writing process, including spelling, legibility, word spacing, and sizing, and also expression. Next, dyscalculia, arithmetic disorder. It is resulting in difficulty learning or comprehending arithmetic, such as difficulty in understanding numbers, learning how to manipulate numbers, performing mathematical calculations, and learning facts in mathematics. It is sometimes informally known as math dyslexia. Though this can be misleading as dyslexia is a different condition from dyscalculia. Another, dyspraxia or psychomotor disorder. People with these challenges can struggle with balance, coordination, and motor skills. These include fine motor skills, for example, for making small movements like using a pencil, gross motor skills for making a large movements like kicking a ball, motor planning for doing multi-step tasks like tying a shoe. The next, ADHD or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder affect a student's ability to focus, pay attention, listen, or put effort into schoolwork. ADHD also can make a student fidgety, restless, talk too much, or disrupt the class. So it can be prevented or cured, but spotting it early plus having a good treatment and education plan can help a child or adult with ADHD manage their symptoms. Number three, speech and communication disorders. A speech disorder is an impairment of the articulation of speech, sounds, fluency, and or voice. It refers to the students having difficulty in talking. A language disorder is impaired comprehension and use of spoken, written, and or other simple systems. The disorder may involve number one, the form of language, phonology, morphology, syntax. Number two, the content of knowledge or what we call semantics. And number three, the function of language and communication in any combination. So, again, under the category of cognitive or academic difficulties, we have learning disabilities, ADHD, and speech and communication disorders. Next category of learners with exceptionalities is social or emotional behavior difficulties. Under this, we have autism, also called autism spectrum disorder or ASD. It is a complicated condition that includes problems with communication and behavior. It can involve a wide range of symptoms and skills. ASD can be a minor problem or a disability that needs full-time care in a special facility. So people with autism might have problems with learning. Their skills might develop unevenly. For example, they could have trouble communicating but be unusually good at art, music, math, or memory. Because of this, they might do especially well on tests of analysis or problem solving. Next, mental retardation is characterized by below average intelligence or mental ability and a lack of skills necessary for day to day living. People with intellectual disabilities can and do learn new skills, but they learn them more slowly. There are varying degrees of intellectual disability from mild to profound. So sometimes we call a learner who are dumb, but they are not actually dumb. They are just their brains are just slow in processing. And number three, emotional or conduct disorders. Presence of emotional states like depression and aggression disturbing learning and performance in school. This refers to the students or learners who are quite emotional or depressed and who are quite aggressive inside the classroom or even outside the classroom. So, in addition, many children with conduct disorder are irritable, have low self esteem, and tend to throw frequent temper tantrums. The next category of learners with exceptionality is physical disabilities and health impairments. Number one, physical and health impairments affects individuals' energy and strength, mental alertness, and muscle control. This can include any of a number of disabilities, such as orthopedic impairments or other health impairments like asthma, hemophilia, epilepsy, and more. Number two, severe and multiple disabilities presents of two or more different types of disabilities. So let's move forward to the next category, which is sensory impairments. So we have visual and hearing impairments. Visual impairments, malfunction of the eyes or optic nerves that prevent normal vision. It can be myopia, farsightedness, hyperopia, or nearsightedness, astigmatism, uh, blurry vision. Hearing impairments, malfunction of the ears or auditory nerves that hinders perception of sounds within the frequency range of normal speech. Deafness is also hearing impairment. The last category is giftedness. Gifted child possess demonstrated or potential abilities that give evidence of high performance capabilities in areas such as intellectual, creative, academic, or leadership ability, or visual or performing art. For that reason, these children require activities or services not provided ordinarily by schools. Gifted and talented children tend to be highly motivated, learn to read early, and perform well academically. So these are the characteristics of the giftedness: maturity beyond age, perfectionist and idealistic, abstract thinkers, and problem solvers. Again, those are the categories of exceptionalities according to the Educational Psychology book of Unrolled. Now let's move to the Individual with Disabilities Education Act 2004, or IDEA, IDEA. The national law that guarantees an appropriate education to students with disabilities recognized 14 disability categories. These are autism, deafness, developmental delay, emotional disturbance, hearing impairment, intellectual disability, multiple disabilities, specific learning disability, orthopedic impairment, other health impairment, speech or language impairment, traumatic brain injury, and visual impairment, including blindness. So, knowing the different categories of learners with exceptionalities, we teachers are not only teachers. All of us must remember that students with learning disabilities are not retarded, slow learners, lazy, incapable, looking for excuses, getting away with something, bringing other students down, and dumbed. Instead, we teachers should use differentiated instruction wherein we can adopt universal design for learning, we can go to adaptation, we can use formative assessment that is in line to their learnings or their abilities. We should respond to intervention. We can provide different direct interaction. We can adopt early intervention and we can adopt learning strategies. And we can integrate and use properly the technologies in order to help the learners with disabilities, learners with exceptionalities, or learners with special needs. So let us now focus on how to help learners with special needs. Special education. To help learners with special needs, special education was established. The Individuals with Disabilities Education Act 2004 defined special education as it is especially designed instruction to meet unique needs of a student with a disability. And it's a place to provide additional services, supports, programs, specialized placements, or environments to use that all students' educational needs are met. Okay, for me, I have three ways to help students with special needs. I know that you have also different ways, but for me, these are the ways to help students with special needs. First, help them find and develop their strengths. Though there are learners with special needs or learners with exceptionalities, they have strengths and weaknesses. So we should help them find and develop their strengths and overcome their weaknesses. Next, provide the right strategy, training, and accommodations. Since they are students with special needs, we should also provide the right strategy and the right accommodations for them. The last one, motivate and encourage. Though they are learners with exceptionalities, they still deserve a quality and better education. And that's all. Thank you so much for listening to my discussion. But before I end this discussion, I just want to share this quote from Anonymous, which says that every child is a different kind of flower, and altogether make this world a beautiful garden. I just want to say thank you to all the teachers out there. Thank you for being one of the caretakers of these beautiful flowers. You are the reasons why they bloom beautifully. And to all the viewers, thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned a lot. Again, this is Marian Miranda from Philippines.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Marian, for sharing your knowledge with our learners and all the participants. And yes, absolutely, I've learned a lot from your presentation.
Thank you,
Thank you
Mom.
so much. And ma'am, we will come back with both of you in our Q&A session. So before that, we'll move to our quiz competition. So you have to be with us. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Thank you, Mom.
Okay, so it's time for quiz, dear participants. Get ready for our next segment, that is quiz competition. The code is already flashed on our screen, that is quiz IGP. So there is three ways to join in our live quiz segment. That one is we'll share the link in our comment box. Second option is you can directly go to www.slido.com, put the code quiz IGP and put your name. Please put your full name because it will be printed in the winner certificates. Yes. And then we will share this QR code. You can also scan the QR code and then you can join with us. So, dear participant, let me remind all of you, don't forget to tag, share, and mention your friends in our comment box. So, after this short video, we will come back. So, enjoy this short video. All right, so welcome once again to our live quiz competition. So, dear participants, you can see the joining link in our comment box already I've shared with you. And you can also directly go to www.slido.com. The code is quiz IGP. Also, you can scan the QR code that is flashed on your screen. And today, top 10 will be awarded with quiz completion certificates. All right, so right now we have 45 participants who have joined in our live quiz segment. Please, dear participants, share this in your timeline or newsfeed, and don't forget to mention at least your 5 friends in our comment box. So right now we have 53 participants. Thank you so much everyone for joining. I think it will be very easy if you download the Slido app in your mobile so that you can directly just connect your internet and just directly go to the Slido app and you can participate here. So we have Ma'am Evelyn, Belena, Ma'am Rose Jasmine, Ma'am Janeline Borja, Ma'am Amalia, Ma'am Joan, okay, Ma'am Bia Marie, Ma'am Leah D. Javier, Ma'am Rina, Ma'am Ava de la Cruz, Ma'am Evelyn, Sir Michel. We have Ma'am Leah Facunla, Ma'am Princess Nadia, Ma'am Girly Me, okay, Ma'am Emily, Ma'am Jeanine, Ma'am Christina, Ma'am Sheila, Ma'am Leah Facunla. Thank you so much, everyone. Ma'am Kyungi, thank you so much for joining with us. So, yes, and right now we have 59 participants here, and we will wait for a minute. Then we'll start our live quiz competition. Yes. It cannot proceed. Ma'am Luna, okay, how to join in Q session? Yes, after the quiz competition, we will start our Q session. So you have to be with us in this live. And if you want to join in our quiz, so you can find the joining link in our comment box, or you can use any browser from Google. Just directly go to www.slido.com code quiz ITP. Okay, so let's start our live quiz. So here is our first question that is already flashed on your screen. And you have two options. Option number one, revised thinking, and option number two, content. So you have to put one option in the blank. All right, so the time is up for the first question. 81% choose option number one, 19% choose option number two. And 81% of our participants got the correct answer. The correct answer is revised thinking. Congratulations. So in our first round, we have Ma'am Charlene Hamaguchi. She's leading on top. Following Sir Tabiso France, Sir January Cindy, Sir Napoleon Bittersolino, and finally Ma'am Bia Maribe Paso. All right, so moving to next question. Okay, so the question is flashed on your screen. Two options. Option number one is a process of knowledge, and option number two develops out of the play interest. So the correct answer is option number two. Only 28% of our participants got the correct answer. So we have Sir January Cindy leading on top in the second round. Okay, following Sir Napoleon Bittersolino, we have Sir Nicodine Esmiro, Ma'am Gemma Benelada, and Sir Ashok Kumar Adhikari. So congratulations, those answered correctly. All right, so moving to next question, question number three. So an expectation for student learning is called a what? Learning standard or content standard? So the right answer is learning standard, and 82% of our participants got the correct answer. Okay, so again we have Sir January Cindy leading on top, following Sir Napoleon Bittersolino. We have Sir Nicodemus Miro, Ma'am Gemma Benelada, and Ma'am Joanna Mary Mateo. Yes, so congratulations, those answered correctly. Okay, let's proceed to the next question, question number four. Which of the following is the components of micro-teaching? Micro-teaching, yes. Option number one, set induction, questioning, reinforcement, and closure of lecture. Option number two, demonstration and mentoring in the class. Okay, so the time is up. The right answer is option number one, and 70% of our participants got the right answer. All right. So still we have Sir January Cindy leading on top, following Sir Napoleon Bitarsolino, Sir Nicodemus Miro, Ma'am Joanna Mary Matteo, and Ma'am Sila May M. Villanova. Yes. So let's see the next question. Question number 5. So the question is flashed on your screen. Repetition of structure of behaviors for pleasure of or skill practice, play or work. All right, so 88% of our participants got the correct answer, that is practice play. Okay, so still Sir January Cindy is on first position, following Sir Nico Dan Esmiro, Ma'am Joanna Mary Matteo, Ma'am Sila May and Villanova, and Sir Sandhya Olabode Oladekon. Okay, so congratulations, those answered correctly. So are you ready for the next question? Let's see. What is the best curriculum framework for teachers? Option number one, content from standards and context from student interest. Or option number two, state standards that focus only on content. Okay, so the time is up. So 91% of our participants got the correct answer. That is option number one. Congratulations. All right. So we have still Sir January Cindy, following Sir Nicodemus Miros, Ma'am Joanna Mary Matteo, Ma'am Sila May M. Villanova, and finally we have Adina Ma'am Rose Jasmine P. Bang. Okay, so congratulations everyone. Let's proceed to the next question. An example of using authentic purposes for learning geometry is option number one, using spatial boundaries to determine where we can go and what we can fit. Or option number two, measuring to find out how long, high, tall, or wide something is. Okay, so it's almost 50-50. Yes, 52% choose option number one and 48% choose option number two. So 52% of our participants, you guys are correct. Option number one is the right answer. All right, so we have Sir January Cindy still leading on top. We have Sir Nicodemus Muro, Sir Sunday, Sir Ma'am Bia Mary, and finally Ma'am Princess Nadia. Okay, so we have last 3 more questions. Let's proceed to the next question. An action done for sheer enjoyment or pleasure. Assimilation of reality. So what do you think, which option goes with the statement? Option number one, inquiry, or option number two, play? Okay, so the correct answer is play, and 88% of our participants got the correct answer. Congratulations, those answered correctly. All right, so now we have Sir Nicodemus Miro beat Sir January Cindy. Okay, you're now leading on top, following Sir Sunday, following Sir January Cindy. We have Sir Napoleon Bitter and Sir Michel J. Gesser. All right. So moving to next question. Question number 9. Why do teachers need to create a safe space for kids? Option number one, so they can explore. Or option number two, so they cannot move. So all of our participants chose option number one. Let's see. Okay, I think there is a technical problem. All right, so okay. So here is our last question. Written plan that describes the goals for the children's learning and development. Option number one, curriculum, or option number two, observation. So the time is up. And the correct answer is option number one, that is curriculum. 93% of our participants got the correct answer. Congratulations. So let's see our leaderboard. Congratulations, Sir Nico Dennis Miro. You are on top. Okay, so following Sir, we have Sir Sunday Olabode placed second, Sir January Cindy placed third, Sir Michelle G. Gesser placed fourth, Ma'am Bia Mary B. Puzzle placed fifth. All right, so we have Ma'am Princess Madia placed sixth, Sir Napoleon Bittersolino placed seventh, Sir Ma'am Rosie Diosors placed eighth, Ma'am Colleen Miro placed ninth. Finally, Ma'am Leah Facunda placed 10th. Yes, so we have right now our top 10 quiz competition winners name. So congratulations to our top 10 quiz competition winners. And you'll get your winner certificates from our Facebook official page. We will post it after the program. Yes, so don't forget to collect your certificates, winner certificates. Yes. All right, so right now we are moving to our next segment, that is QA segment. Yes, and get ready with your questions or any queries to ask our honorable speaker. So before asking the question, please address our speaker's name, whom you want to ask your question. All right, and also let me remind all of you, don't forget to tag, share, and mention your friends in our comment box. And after the Q&A session, we will share the international webinar code. So you have to be with us till the end of our program. So after this short video, we will come back with our two honorable speaker, beautiful speaker. Okay, let's enjoy this short video. once again. Welcome to our Q&A session. Okay, so we have our first question already in our comment box. The question is from Sari Paulo Liverian. Good evening, ma'am. Trisha, what is the best way to handle learners who continually asking irrelevant questions about the subject?
Okay, thank you, Sir Ray Paulo Liberan, for your question. First, when a pupil or a student is continually asking irrelevant questions, all we have to do is um, first let's answer his or her question, and then right away let's proceed to our relevant topic in our subject.
Okay. Okay, so we have next question from Sir S.B. Yongya. How can a partnering with parents for effective learning environment be possible? So he didn't mention the speaker's name. I think this question is from for both of you.
Okay. Can I answer the question?
Sure, ma'am.
Okay. How can a partnering with parents for effective learning environment be possible? Okay, for to become effective in the learning environment, parents must be involved because we need their support for the learners to learn more. And that's all. Hello, ma'am.
Sorry for the technical problem. Okay. So, okay, we have another question from Manolita P. Parafina. Okay, the question is from Marion. Good evening, Marion. How can I improve my classroom management?
Okay, thank you for the question, Manolito Parafinian. So, how can I improve my classroom management? First, create a positive and safe environment, friendly and well managed. You must consider also the physical arrangement of the classroom. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. So, another question: how to create questionnaire for SSP child? So, I think this is for both of you.
SP for special child, right? SP.
Special child.
Okay, how to create a questionnaire for special child. First, you must know the situation of the child. Uh, what what is the needs of that child? Okay.
Thank you. Next question is for Ma'am Trisha from Ma'am Junaliza. Good evening, Ma'am Trisha. How can you handle a student if he or she had tantrums? Tantrums, yes.
um I will answer this even though it's not on my discussion, but of course, we are all experiencing a pupil which having tantrums in our class. So first, I will ask what is her or his problem, what does she need, or what does she needs, and then uh, I I will calm her, and I will try to figure out what to do after that. after she or he said his problem.
Thank you. And do you have our last question from one of our active participants? How does learning environment affect teachers? So,
Yeah, okay. How does learning environment affect teachers?
teachers.
So first, we have to consider the learners and the community as well to have effective learning environment. So that's all, Ma'am Trish. You have additional comment for that or answer for that question?
Nothing more that will do, Ma'am Marion.
Naghamon.
Sorry. Okay, so we have another question from Sari Paulo, and it's from Marian. What is the greatest approach to grab the attention of a student and a parent who are both unresponsive? Yes.
What is the greatest approach to grab the attention of a student and a parent who are both unresponsive? So for that situation, I think we have to home visitation or visit them to know what's the problem, why they are not why they are unresponsive. That's all.
Thank you so much. Okay, so taking the last question. The question is, how will a quality learning in an environment impact on meaningful learning? Ma'am Trisha?
Well, when we have a quality learning environment, the impact of the learning is very meaningful for our pupils, and another mm, the information will be uh the information will be processed to them. And another, it help increase the creativity in their learning environment, and of course the impact also to the teacher's effectiveness. Thank you.
Thank you. Ma'am Marian?
Okay, so when we have a conducive learning environment, it has a great impact to our teachers because um, we can share our we can share our knowledge uh, by the effective environment. I think I
Thank
can.
you so much. Thank you so much, ma'am.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ma'am Trisha and Ma'am Marian, for
Okay.
Thank
connecting
you
Thank you
our
so
so
much,
much.
participant
Ma'am Nisha.
and sharing your
Thank
knowledge
you.
about on the topic with our participants. And I think yeah, this is your first time, but
Yes.
you guys done excellently, excellent, just excellent. I've
Thank you,
learned a
Ma'am
lot from you.
Nisha.
Thank
Thank
you so
you
much.
and good day.
Have a great day,
God
ma'am. Thank
bless.
you.
Good day.
Stay safe.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Have a great day. So, dear participants, we are now moving to our next segment that is okay, our certification process. So after this short video, we will come back. So this is now our certification process. The program name is The Art of Questioning and Environment for Learners. And the code is IGP9215. Please note down or write down the code that is IGP9215. And without the code, this code, no one is eligible for the certificates. And with code, you can claim your certificates anytime. And you can also visit our website. Our website address is www.eduigp.com. So visit our website and collect your e-certificates. And don't forget to celebrate with IGP. You can also visit our new website that is Job Logins. So you can find all the job related information in our website, Job Logins. Also, don't forget to give a thumbs up to our new page that is IGP Kids. So, dear participants, thank you so much for being a part of our live program and still staying with us. So, I'm inviting all of you to our next session tomorrow morning. Sorry, it's in Saturday morning. So, don't forget and don't miss it. Till then, everyone, stay safe, stay happy wherever you are, and never stop learning. There's a famous quote from Sir Albert Einstein: "Once you stop learning, you start dying." So don't do that. Just keep learning with IGP and stay with us in this long journey. Thank you so much once again to all of our participants for staying with us and cooperating with us. Thank you so much. Till then, stay safe, everyone. I'm Nasrin Misha signing off right now. Thank you so much.